Good. A few more minutes for everyone to be able to get logged in. All right, we have a lot of students joining us. Thank you so much, everyone. This is so exciting to see you all. We cannot wait to kick off the Empower program this week with you. Thank you all for being here. For those of you who are sharing your video, we're so excited to virtually meet you. And I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to Rashada to get us started today.
All right. Thank you, Dina. And hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I am Rashada Whitehead. I lead colleague experience for Grant Thornton. So colleague experience includes our culture transformation work as well as our diversity, equity, and inclusion function. I am based in Chicago, and I am absolutely ecstatic to be here with you all today to do the official kickoff of Grant Thornton's Empower program. So in addition to my role at Grant Thornton, I'm also an adjunct professor, and investing in the growth and development of future leaders is just my jam. We have a concept at Grant Thornton that we refer to as the mood elevator. And I have to tell you, just seeing more and more of you join and turn your cameras on is really just lifting me up on the mood elevator on this Monday. So this week is all about you, and our goal is to help you gain access to and build upon the professional skills that will prepare you to win in the future. I just can't state enough how excited I am about the investment that you're making in yourselves, and that we are here to be able to support you in that. So we don't have a ton of rules for the week, right? There will be some housekeeping and sort of grounding things. We don't have a ton of rules, but I want to get us grounded in one important guiding principle, at least for this kickoff and this welcome, that I want you to carry throughout this week. And that is to be curious. Ask questions, take advantage of gaining as much insight as you can. We'll give you a chance to put this to use because we're going to do some Q&A a little bit later during the opening. So sort of get ready for that. But ask questions, jump in there, participate, and just try to gather the information that you can to sharpen your skills. And again, to help get you to that next level. So with that being said, joining me today are two wonderful Grant Thornton partners that I am so excited to also welcome, Kathy Hyoto and Joseph Loretto. Kathy and Joseph, I've given you a warm and hearty welcome to you both to give you time to get on camera. And while I'm doing that, I want you to get us going. We'd love to hear a little bit about each of your stories. Can you talk about your role at Grant Thornton and share some of your background and what got you here? So Kathy, if you are on, actually, Joseph, I'm going to kick off with you because I see you. You're at the top side of my Brady Bunch screen. So I'm going to kick off with you first, and then we'll hand it to Kathy. And I think you're on mute.
Of course, I'm on mute. The story of my life this past year. But no, thank you, Rashada, and welcome everyone. I'm really, really excited to meet you virtually And when Rashada and I was talking to the rest of the team, we were talking about joining today's session, and I learned a little bit more about the Empower program. I was really, really excited to be able to meet you and kind of tell you a little bit about my story. Well, as Rashada mentioned, my name is Joseph Loretto. I'm an audit partner based here in Dallas, Texas. I've been with Grant Thornton for now over 21 years. This past January, I started with Grant Thornton right out of college. So I was just in your shoes. It just happened to be in your shoes 21 years ago. So it seems like a very long time, which it is. I don't know where the time has gone, but in addition to my role as an audit partner, I'm also an international business partner. And what that really means is I do a lot of work with our firms around the world. I have significant international experience, and really where I've gotten that from and had the opportunity with Grant Thornton, which has been great, is I've worked on three international assignments with Grant Thornton. I spent some time in Australia for 6 months, and then earlier in my career, I spent 2 years in Beijing, China, working for Grant Thornton there. Came back, and then I spent 2 years recently in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, Brazil, for 2 years. So really, that's kind of how I got a lot of my international experience. And it's been really cool to be working with the firm over this 21 years and getting that experience. But another role, which I would say I'm really a lot more, I would say more, have more pride in doing, is I'm also the leader for our national Hispanic Latinx business resource group. And our business resource groups are essentially our diversity, equity, and inclusion groups here at Grant Thornton. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is a very, very important element of our firm and our objectives. And so I think being able to meet with young people with diverse backgrounds, I act as a mentor for a lot of them. That's what really makes me happy. That's one of the coolest things about my job, is working with people that are also coming up that maybe have some similar backgrounds to me, but even diverse backgrounds, and getting to learn about that. And Grant Thornton really giving me an opportunity to really be myself here. And I think that's one of the main reasons I've been with Grant Thornton for all these years. The relationships and the friendships that I've made. And really, I think that's what's the best part of my career, is just feeling it's not really work. That's why I think there's a real definition of what's called career, but your career is really part of your daily life. And if you're able to harmonize that together, you're going to be very happy. And I think that's what makes me happy, is being able to be myself and be accepted here at Grant Thornton. A little bit about my background. I mean, my parents immigrated from Guatemala, and I grew up here in Dallas. So I was first generation in college, and I know maybe a lot of you on this call may be in a similar background. So if you have any questions during the session, please feel free to ask them. I'll turn it over to
Me.
back to you, Rashada.
Yeah, turn it back over to me, Joseph. And I think Kathy might join later, or she's going to join on one of the other panels. But I wanted to kick a few more things to you, because I have had the pleasure of working with you. And I know you recently joined the board of Alpha, and we've just been really able to do some tremendous things around recruiting and being more intentional about bringing in a next generation of future leaders that are going to push us as a firm to take, creative thinking to the next level and to do things differently, right? And so I want to take a step back. First off, when you said you've been here 21 years, here's a note for all the students. That feels like a long time, right? And you say to yourself, like, 21 years from now, I'm like twice the age I am right now, not even, right? So it feels like you have to double a lifetime to be somewhere for 21 years. But when it comes to just like career and growth and development, Joseph is still like super young in his career. And, to be a partner in a public accounting firm and to represent a group that is not highly represented, in public accounting right now, and all the things that we're doing to change that. I just wanted to lean into a couple more questions, Joseph, if I can. And the first one is, when people think about like accounting, like how did you sort of navigate? Can you lean a little bit more in on that, because they're still early in their college careers, right? And they're making those decisions about like sort of what's in front of them. How did you say, you know what, I'm going to get a CPA, like I'm going to go this route, I'm going to do these things? What opportunities did you see for yourself, especially being first generation? Like what did you feel like was in it for
Yeah.
you?
The funny thing was, I kind of stumbled upon accounting in school, my freshman year in college. I actually went with the original intention. I thought I was going to be a pharmacist. When I was going to high school, I worked at our local pharmacy, and just was working with the pharmacist back there. And I thought that's something that I wanted to do. But then I took my first class in college of chemistry, and that wasn't that wasn't for me. And ended up taking some business classes, and accounting was one of them. Fortunately, I kind of grasped onto that, and so accounting, it kind of, I would say, stumbled upon me. But it was good because that's where I started to gravitate. I met some people in my accounting classes. Luckily, I was able to do well in my accounting classes, and so I just progressed through that. And as I figured out that that's what I wanted to do, I learned more about that. I learned about that I really wanted to be a business person. I thought that would be a good career, and I thought accounting gave me a good foundation for that. And that's kind of how I ended up getting into the accounting field. And then during I would say, the last couple of years before I graduated, I started learning more about public accounting. I really didn't know anything about public accounting, quite frankly. I started learning more about who the Big Four was, who Grant Thornton was, and our other firms out there, large firms. And luckily went through the recruiting process. I met a couple of people that I still know today that recruited me. And that's kind of how I ended up at Grant Thornton. And frankly, the main reason I ended up at Grant Thornton was because the people that I connected with during that interviewing process and the recruiting process. I think you will find, whether it's in accounting or any other organization that you're looking to make your career at, as you're kind of progressing through your studies and looking where you're going to work at. There's a lot of great organizations like the other accounting firms as well. They're all great firms, have very good technical, very highly reputable firms. What it comes down to is the people who you connect with. Can you see yourself really working there? And I think that's kind of what you need to take notice on is, again, wherever you go, and make those relationships that you build will be a very important element in, determining what you want to do.
Yeah, thank you for that, Joseph. I was going to circle back to that because earlier you talked about you've been here for 21 years because you've been able to be yourself. And I think for this group, if you take nothing away, hopefully you'll take much more away, from the intro and the welcome today. But if you take nothing else away, it is that just by the fact that you're here today and you are showing up and making this investment, you have what it fundamentally takes already to choose a career and to be successful at it. And you really do have such a great runway and are at such a phenomenal point in your careers that Joseph is hitting the nail on the head. Like, think about those connection points, and outside of the technical skills that it takes to do my job, which we want you to do well, also think about, where can I be me? Where am I going to be comfortable contributing to that community and really speaking up and, sort of voicing not just concerns, but areas of opportunity for improvement, to be game changers and to take things to the next level. And it feels like, oh, you got to be a CEO to do that. You got to be like some senior leader to do that. And that's just simply not true. You can do it from right where you are, day one. And so that is what Empower is all about. And that's why, we're here having this conversation with you today. Joseph, I also want to ask you, speaking of that, with the group we have here today, the students are making an investment in their professional growth and development while they're still early in their academic careers. In fact, they took this important step of like applying for the program and, showing up today and just being really diligent about their engagement and their follow-up. Why do you think all of this is important, and what words of advice would you give them?
Yeah, the first step, what you've already done, just by, first of all, pursuing your studies. Obviously, that's very important, right? But then what do you do from that? It's not just going to college and graduating and hoping that you land the job. Um, and it sounds like all of you that are joining this program, you take that seriously, right? You take your studies seriously. You're already thinking about your careers. What are you going to do after you graduate? And so those things are things that you have to do. You have to invest in yourself because think about it. If you invest in yourself and you really take yourself seriously, then you're probably going to gravitate to other people that feel the same. And also, people are going to invest in you if you take it upon yourself to invest yourself, right? So think about if I take it for granted or I really don't spend time on myself, and if you were helping someone else, who are you going to help? Are you going to help those people that really taking it serious and they want to help themselves, or are you going to just help anyone that you can? And I'm talking about more about growing your careers, right? And so what I would say is part of this journey is also developing what I would call your personal brand. And I think you, from looking at your agenda, I think that's some things that you're going to be talking about later this week. And I think that's a very important part of your journey because your personal brand, think about it builds the value you builds up as you progress through your career and through your journey. And the time you spend on that is about building relationships. It's about building trust, and it's about building up your reputation, right? And one thing that the advice I would give is it takes so much effort to build up that trust and that reputation, but it's so easy. And I'm sure you've read a lot of stories of losing that in an instant, losing that trust for whatever, something silly. So always be cognizant of what you do, how you treat others. Always treat people with respect. I think that's one of our core values here at Grant Thornton as well, is treating other people with respect, whatever backgrounds we come from. And so if you live those values, have the level of respect, have that integrity, spend time developing relationships because those will build over time. You'll continue to build your personal brand, and people are going to want you. People are going to want you to be part of their team. But again, keep in mind that the things you do today can impact your future, and that could be both positive and negative. I just think that the negative behavioral trait or something can just ruin your reputation pretty quickly. So the advice I always give the students, especially now with social media, and I'm sure this is no secret to you, and I'm sure you have learned about this in college as well. But with social media, there's just so much things can go wrong, and once it's in the internet or something like that, then it just never goes away.
Love it. Thank you, Joseph. And as you were talking, I was thinking about this whole notion of personal brand. And like Joseph mentioned, you all are going to cover a lot of topics around interviewing and personal brand and like all these things that are going to make you feel more confident and more well prepared over the course of the week. But as you were talking, I wrote something down, and it's really, what do you want people to say about you when you're not around or you're not in the room? And if you haven't thought about that, maybe like over the course of this week, even think about like, I personally want people to say that I am a collaborator. I want people to say that I come with just as many recommendations for solutions as I come with like what's wrong. You know what I mean? And so I think about what are the things that I want people to say about me, and what are my strengths, and how am I going to like bridge those two things? These are the things that I'm strong at. You know what? It's what you're known for and what you stand for. Like how do you marry those two things up? And really, sort of bring them to life. So with that, I'm looking at the clock, and we promised that we were going to give you all a chance to put this Be Curious into action. So I'm going to open it up for some Q&A. You got Joseph here. I mean, he is, phenomenal and just such a great source for just wisdom and how to navigate career, how to navigate college into career. I'm here happy to answer any questions. So we will open it up to questions right now. The chat is open, so if you either want to ask a question, you can put it in the chat and I'll pull it from there, Or if you want to, there's a hand raise function up top, which might help us do this sort of in an orderly way so we're not talking over each other. But any initial questions as we kick off this week of Empower?
I know there has to be a lot of people with curious questions. And
all right, I see a hand up. The initials I'm hovering over are Julia Kakuta. You're up.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you talk about your experience and what you did in college that could have like potentially like led to your employment to Grant Thornton?
yeah, so what I would say, a couple of things. One, the again, I want to emphasize this, is the relationships you build. So whether that's with other students, with other organizations, you meet those through other organizations that you may have on campus, through your professors. But really, what I think I did, especially in my upperclassmen years, I really took it upon myself to spend a lot of time in building relationships. That's very important. So don't just focus on your studies. Obviously, that's important in making your grades, and you're doing that. But you also have to kind of step back and say, okay, what else can I do? And part of that is the relationship building, especially when you're going into a professional services firm like Grant Thornton. All our business is about relationships, whether it's with your colleagues or your clients or in the community. So learning how to network and build up your network is a very important element of, even when you're in college. So not just your technical element, which is the studies, right? And you're learning whatever you're learning, but it's the other extracurricular activities that you're doing as well.
And hey, Julia, I'll even hook on to what Joseph is saying. You will, over the course of this week, you all are going to experience and like meet all these new people. And we're coming to these calls with like a level of excitement. We're excited because you're excited. Like we want to be here because we feel that you want to be here. And so this in itself is an opportunity to continue those relationships from here and to check in with people over time, you know, to say, hey, I had a chance to participate in Empower. I am, you know, now in my senior year, I'm getting ready to do the X, would love to just 15 minutes. Can we check in? Can we do X, Y, and Z? You would be surprised. Now, sometimes we're a little slow about responding because we got like all this other stuff going on, but you'd be surprised how much people will really take to that and really want to, like Joseph was saying earlier, invest in those who are investing themselves. So great question. And thank you for that.
Thank you.
I see a question in the chat, but yeah, all of you all keep it coming. We can take a few more. The question in the chat, Joseph, is what kept you motivated in the field of accounting when you had hurdles in your way? So like, what was your drive to continue pushing, and how have other experiences outside of the classroom contributed to where you are right now? What a great question from Dimitri.
Yeah, I think the motivation that's really come from me is knowing that I'm helping others. Of course, earlier in your career, you're just learning so much. You're really learning about just the accounting trade. You're learning the technical element of it, the debits and credits, especially in obviously in our field of accounting. And so, or at least in my role as an auditor. But as I got more experience, what motivated me was the relationships I was building with clients and how I knew I was really making a difference. The ability to lead others, as I was starting to build more of my supervisory skills and started training and helping others, that motivated me as well. I think being able to do those international assignments. So outside of accounting, as I mentioned, I did those 3 international assignments over my course of career. With actually, I spent a significant amount of time outside the U.S. and in countries that I never thought I would have been or visited. And really, I mean, that's something outside of accounting, right? I really learned, it opened my mind to a diverse cultural backgrounds, made some friendships along the way, but really opened my mind to the world. And I had that opportunity because of Grant Thornton. So when I came back, I just had a different perspective on life. I had a different perspective on business that helped me, and that kind of fueled me as well to the other things I'm doing. And part of that is what the firm is doing with our diversity, equity, and inclusion effort. So these are things that are not just accounting. These are, I would say, personal stuff and These are, I would say, human elements of our work. And that's what I really love. It's not just the accounting and the challenges that we go through or resolving issues, but it's the human interaction and the relationships that I build. I keep saying relationships because it's just that's kind of why I'm still here, and I really plan on retiring from Grant Thornton.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to at least take these two. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I see your hand up. It is Kenlin. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
My
perfect.
question was, how did you get involved in international business?
So this is one thing where it came from someone that was a mentor of mine. So again, someone that I had built a relationship with, and through my field of work, there was an opportunity to apply for international assignments. So earlier in your career here at Grant Thornton, you do have an opportunity to apply for what we call short-term assignments. So these are pretty short, probably usually 6 months in length. I applied through that, was selected, and had the opportunity to go to Australia. So that's when I went. I actually lived in Melbourne, and that kind of gave me my real first taste of the international experience. And when I was in Melbourne, I was learning more about the international accounting and international auditing rules. And so when I came back 4 years later, because of that experience already, people knew that I had a little bit of that international experience, and there was an opportunity to go to China because we had there's a lot of foreign investment, a lot of U.S. companies investing in China, and so we had a lot of clients that were doing business there. And because we have to comply with U.S. rules and accounting rules, we needed people from the U.S. to go to China, and I volunteered myself as that, applied through the program, and was fortunately to selected to do that. So then that springboarded me into Brazil, and then now I'm part of one of the international business partners because of the international experience I've gained. So it was like step by step, little things that you do, and things that you do to get you out of your comfort zone now lead up to other opportunities. It opens just many more doors if you do other things.
Yeah. So Joseph, it's great because you actually touched upon two of the questions that are in the box. So Jessica, we're going to make your question the last question, but the questions that were in the chat were, can you touch upon how how you grew at GT, and how did you seize new opportunities? So I think you hit some of that, and then there was another question about someone, Dimitri, that was Alexa's question, but then Dimitri said, I don't think I've built my leadership skill set yet. So how did you identify that you were ready to be a leader? And I think you hinted to some of that. I'm going to go to Jessica's hand up, and then that will be the last question we can actually take, just given the timing with what you all have to do. However, you have Discord, and so we can sort of encourage you to put the questions in Discord, and we'll take the questions that we haven't answered and respond to them in Discord. So Jessica, your quick sort of lightning round question, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Thank you for calling on me. I just wanted to know, how has being a first generation like college student impacted you, and is there like one major lesson you would say could like summarize like how it's impacted your career?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, to be frank, coming into the business world from first generation family of immigrants, it was somewhat intimidating. I mean, it really was. It's you come into a field that don't really know other people. From the schools that I went, a lot of my friends didn't go to college, and so I'm coming into an environment where it's just different how I grew up. It was a little bit intimidating, but what I think you will see is, and you'll be surprised, and maybe not, there's a lot of people out there that really care about you, that really want to see you succeed. Wherever you go, whatever business or whatever firm you end up with, there's going to be people that want to see you succeed. But you, as I mentioned before, you have to take that time to meet people, to get out of your comfort zone, to go out and make it a point to meet other people, because these people want to help you. And I had the blessing that other people helped me along the way, became advocates for me, and that's what you need. You need the people that are going to go up to bat for you. give you advice along the way, and just will help you develop you, help you navigate your career, and taking on that advice. So you'll I think that'll come naturally, if you will. But again, as you progress, it's meeting more and more people.
Yeah. Thank you, Joseph. Loretto, so grateful for you to give us your time and be here today. And as I mentioned, everybody, this is just the kickoff, so welcome. We will continue to have goodness for you this week, and I'll be popping in and out. We are excited for you, and we're proud of you, and just want to tell you to keep on keeping on. And with that, we are going to close out this session, and we will see you later. Enjoy.
Thank you. Great. Good luck, everyone.